the noise outside? Bloody builders. I feel like I'm chopping the top of my head off. Do you need to come higher? I don't know. If I practice... Oh, I can't sit like that, can I? Oh, Jesus. Just super clever filming, probably on the stay of the year. Does this background look okay? Am I on the side? I think I'm ready. Right, don't be too long, let's get on with this. Hi and welcome back to my channel. So I know it's been a while, some of you may have noticed that it's been a good few months since I've uploaded any video or any vlogs or anything like that, and I do have some good excuses. Well, okay, reasons, shall we say. In May we moved house, so we're in a new place now and it's a little bit different, as you can see. So we've moved to a house, we bought a house. Okay, we've moved. It has been a couple of months, but it's just been so hectic, like unpacking and packing and buying new things and getting it all ready. So we've just been doing that for the last few months, but the main reason why I've not put anything up is because we've had no internet, and we've literally only just got internet a few weeks ago, so hence why I'm now filming again. I've got a few work vlogs, so a trip to Calgary, San Francisco and Johannesburg, but if I'm honest, the footage isn't great. I've looked at them, I might try and edit them into something, but they're really not the best. So I don't really want to put them up if they're not good enough. But they were such good trips as well. Like Calgary, we went to Lake Louise, and we actually flew into San Jose, but went to San Francisco for the day, which was really good. And the Johannesburg one, we went horseback riding safari. So they were really good trips, but I just didn't capture it like that. So I'll see what I can do with them, and if I can put anything that's half decent up, I will do. So let's get on to today's video, and I've decided to do a disadvantage and advantage video of cabin crew, the job, the role, and all the bits in between. I've seen a few videos of this and I thought, well, I don't want it to be the same. Everyone's view of being cabin crew and the role itself is completely different, and it really does depend on the airline you're with and whether you're doing short haul and long haul. I thought I'd just give my view of it, how I dealt with it really over the few years. I have been flying on and off for 10 years, so I started when I was 18, and I've taken breaks in between, and it's never been as good. You know, the other jobs that I've done have never been as good as flying, so I've always gone back to it. So I thought I'll just give you my view of it all. So let's start with the disadvantages. I always like to start with the negatives and end with the positives. So number one for me, the biggest disadvantage of flying and being crew is tiredness. It's just ridiculous how tired you can be sometimes. That goes for short haul, long haul. It really gets to you sometimes. With long haul, you know, you're doing a lot of long haul flights, obviously, and a lot of night flights. So there will be times where you're doing your meal service or drink service or whatever kind of service at 3 o'clock in the morning, and you're thinking to yourself, why do I do this job again? With short haul, you know, even though you're not doing those long flights and you're not getting the jet lag from those flights, it's still really, really tiring. I mean, I've done both short haul, long haul, and you know, the short haul, that is probably the hardest, because you can be doing like 6 earlies with 2 days off into late, you know, and the big blocks, the long flights, the 12+ hour days. So if it's something you're interested in doing, just be ready to be a little bit tired at times. Second disadvantage for me is early reports. There are times, especially for short haul, I found myself getting up at 2 o'clock in the morning to be in for, you know, like a 4:30 report. Granted, that is probably only in the summer for most airlines because they're doing more holiday destinations, but it's horrendous, especially when it's a Friday or a Saturday night and you know your friends and everyone else in the world is out partying. You're in bed by 6 o'clock because you've got to be up at 2. You can't sleep the night before, and then you get up and you go to work, and you do honestly question why you do the job. With that is late starts, like sometimes I do late long hauls. You know, they can be just as bad because sometimes I have check-ins at like 9 o'clock in the evening, and yeah, okay, you get a lie in and you can catch up on a bit of sleep and you've got that day to do things. But you don't want to do too much because you don't want to tire yourself out. So you find yourself sitting around waiting. Well, that's what I end up doing. And then I end up just getting ready and going into work early to see if I can catch up with anyone or anything. So, and then obviously with it being such a late check-in, it's then a night flight, and night flights are so tiring going back to being tired. Early starts and lates can be disadvantages for people. The third disadvantage for me, which I think a lot of people will agree with me, is missing out on things. You'll find that you miss out on weekends, your friends going out, anything like that, parties. You probably will be working Christmas, although touch wood, I have been very, very lucky with the airline that I'm with now, and for the last 5 years I haven't actually worked Christmas. So there are ways you can get it off, but just be prepared that 90% of the time you will be working Christmas, or if not Christmas, New Year, it's, you know, one or the other. You'll miss birthdays, christenings, weddings, everything, you name it, V-Fest, Glastonbury. You know, unless you're able to book it as leave, it's very difficult to be able to get it off. So be prepared to miss out on a few things. Going on from that, the fourth one for me, sometimes it can be lonely. To be honest, with the airline I'm with now, and probably my age plays a good part in it, I don't find this an issue. But previous airlines, when I was younger, when I was 19, this was a big thing for me. And I remember one trip sitting, it was in Narita in Japan, and I was sitting in my hotel room, and this is gonna make me sound really old, but it was before, you know, you had your iPads, iPhones. It was before phones even had the internet. It was before Facebook, okay? That's how long ago it was. And I remember sitting in my room and watching BBC World News, because that was the only English channel that was on the television, and thinking to myself, what am I doing here? You know, it was like silly o'clock in the morning. I couldn't sleep because my body clock was just all over the place. And unfortunately, that was my last trip with that airline. I came home and I just said to my mum and dad, I just can't go back there, and I never went back. I'd only just given it 6 months, and everyone says always give it longer than 6 months, you know, if not a year, give it a good year. If you're still unhappy, you know, then leave. And it was just that one trip that just triggered it all for me, and I just thought, oh, I can't be doing with this, so I left and ended up coming back to flying. So obviously it was something that I enjoyed, but just that time in my life wasn't right. Bear in mind, sometimes it can be a little bit lonely. I mean, crew are the friendliest people in the world. You will know everything there is to know about the crew you're working with by the end of the flight. But also there are times when you'll get down route and, you know, you might have a couple of days there and the crew aren't really doing anything, or you might not even get on with them. That is very rare, that there isn't someone that you're flying with that you don't really make a bit of a connection with. So yeah, it can get lonely. So the fifth disadvantage for me, and this is a little bit naughty for me to say, but it is passengers. They can be the nicest people in the world, but when something goes wrong for them, or they didn't get their first meal choice, or the flight's delayed, wow, you're their worst enemy, because they'll take it out on you. Dealing with that can be really tough. But yeah, just be prepared to sort of take everything on the chin, because unfortunately, if stuff has gone wrong for our customers, it's not your fault, but they just need to vent their anger, and you're the first person they see, so you're gonna get it. Sometimes passengers seem to lack a little bit of common sense, and for me, it's the toilet door on the aircraft. You won't believe how many times people don't know what to do with that door. Most aircraft, it's just a simple push, and it literally says on the door, push. They'll pull it. they'll try and slide it. I'm like, it's push. It's just a push. So yeah, be prepared for passengers to aim a lot of aggression at you. Not all the time, gosh, I'm not saying it's every flight, but you know, there will be times when you get on a flight, you're delayed, you've not got their first meal choice, there's screaming kids on and they'll just want to have a go at you over everything. So just be prepared for that, and be prepared for them to need a lot of assistance sometimes with certain things. On to the sixth disadvantage for me is the long days. Flying, like I said before, is tiring, but they're also really long days. Short haul, long haul, you know, for a short haul you could be doing a double sector, which is essentially 2 different flights in one day, or you could be doing a Sharm el Sheikh. I used to do Sharm el Sheikh there and back, which is just insanely long, so each way is probably about 5.5 hours, and so you've got 5.5 hours there, 5.5 hours back, an hour's turnaround in the middle, and you know, the hour before and the hour after the flight. So you're looking at a hefty day there. With long haul, you could be flying to Singapore, and Singapore can be as long as 14 hours. And you've got your check-in and your check-out. So again, you're looking at 18 hours, maybe even more sometimes. They are long tiring days. So another disadvantage as well could be the fact that you've had to move away. This is what I had to do for one of my airlines when I was younger, and I had to move down south. I'm from the north of the UK, and I had to move down to the south of the UK, and that was for the training, and this was probably the toughest time I've ever had. I know it sounds ridiculous, and there are a lot more serious problems going on in the world, but at that time it was just so difficult for me. I was 19 and I missed home and I missed my friends, and I hated being away from home. So once the training finished, I moved back home and I commuted as well. And that was, you know, that drive for me was a good 3 hours on a good day without traffic. What I'm saying is that if you do become crew and it is for an airline where you have to move closer to the airport, this can definitely be seen as a disadvantage, because obviously you're leaving everyone behind, you're leaving your family, you could potentially be living on your own, things like that. For the airline now I work for, I did commute for the first 2 years, but we recently moved down, me and my partner, and I wouldn't have moved if he hadn't moved. I'd probably still be commuting now. I am a lot more settled now, obviously, than I was 10 years ago, and I do still miss home. Obviously I miss my mom, I miss my little niece growing up, I miss obviously my dad, just all my family and my friends and everything, and my mummy's little dog. And it is hard, it really is hard, but you know, living away isn't something that you want to do, or you try it and it's not for you. Try commuting. It is difficult, but it's doable, so that's something to think about. I think that's it for disadvantages. I honestly thought that the list would be longer for that. And I did want to be quite open about it. Being crew, it is a difficult job. Everyone just thinks you're just serving food and it's just tea and coffee, and that we're stupid and that this was the only job that we could do, and it's so not. The training you go through, you know, 6 to 8 weeks worth of training, have a refresher each year, and you've got so much information and so many life skills, and you can evacuate that aircraft in an emergency or save someone's life with CPR, or you know, we're trained to put out fires, things like that. So there is so much more to us, and I feel sometimes we just don't get enough credit for what we do. And the classic line I can guarantee you will get from a passenger is, you'll get to LA, you've just done an 11-hour flight to LA, plus the check-in time and the boarding and all that, and then they'll go to you, oh, so are you turning around and going home now? Oh yeah, we're just gonna do the 11-hour flight back because we're just machines and we don't need rest. I feel like they don't appreciate us in a sense. So that's it for disadvantages. I'm sure there's plenty more, but they are ones I just wanted to touch on. Now on to advantages of the job. And number one for me is obviously, if you're doing long haul, it's getting to see those destinations. That's what I do at the minute, and I just love getting off that aircraft at the end of the day and getting to explore a little bit of that place. Although sometimes you might not get enough time down route, there's still plenty of time to see the city or the country or whatever, wherever you are, and I do try to make the most of it, and that is what I love. There have been so many places that I have seen now that I would never have seen had I not done this job. I've seen so many places in America, like LA, Vegas, Chicago, New York, Boston, Miami, Seattle, loads, Denver, Texas, all the places. I've probably seen more of America than I have anywhere else, which is a shame, but I'm starting to go a little bit further east. I'm not a massive fan of going east, partly because my body clock just hates me for it and I just can't sleep. And also, this is gonna sound really bad, but it's too much of a culture change for me. With being away, I like my home comforts. So the fact that in America I can just go out on my own and be able to get myself something to eat and shop and be okay is great for me. But going to the likes of Japan and trying to order your dinner that you want chicken and potatoes is just, it's not gonna happen, is it? But with that in mind, I am trying to get a little bit further. I've recently been to Seoul in South Korea. I've been to Japan, Tokyo before. Where else have I been far east? Oh, Chengdu, obviously, with the vlog from that. Like, I've been to South Africa, India, Dubai as well. That's a new recent one for us. So yeah, that is probably the best part of the job, is getting to see these new places that I would never have visited otherwise. Second advantage for me is meeting new people. Depending, again, it all depends on the airline you work for, but if you're at a big airline and it's a big base, you will get to know people, but most of the time you'll get on a flight and you may know one or two people. You could get into the briefing room and not know anyone, or you could get there and you know quite a lot of people. But I love that. I love the fact that I get to meet so many new people. You know, not just crew as well, there's passengers, you know, meeting them and getting to know people and hearing all their life stories. That's what I enjoy about the job. Third advantage for me is that no day is the same. Yeah, okay, you might do the same destination so that you think, oh, well, the flights are going to be the same, but it's so not, because you know, you've got different crew and different passengers, different things happen each day, and I honestly couldn't go back to doing, you know, a 9 to 5 Monday to Friday job, because although I do miss out on a lot of weekends and a lot of things, I love having days off throughout the week, and I love getting back from a long haul, landing really early in the morning, like 7 o'clock in the morning, driving on that motorway and seeing everyone on a Monday morning going to work, and I'm like, yeah, going to bed now. You know, I just love that. You know, the job being so different, that's something that I really enjoy. Another great advantage, number 4, is depending, again, I keep saying this, but it really does depend on the airline. You get some staff travel, and this means, for my particular airline, it means that we get some slightly discounted airfare, and I can take someone away with me as well, or up to 2 people away with me per trip. And I love this. So I've taken my mum to Rio, I've taken her to LA, and I've just recently taken her to Dubai. And I've taken my boyfriend to LA and Miami and Seoul and a few other places, Chicago. So it is really, really nice that you can take people away with you. And it's really good that you do get a slightly discounted tickets, so that you can use them for your own holidays and things like that. So the 5th advantage sort of ties in with the first one about getting to see new places, and that is the places that we go. The airline always put you up in really nice hotels, and sometimes we can be a little bit spoiled, because I've noticed now when I do book a hotel, if I'm going on holiday, that I'm a bit like, well, you know, it's not that good, or it's only, you know, so many stars. You do get treated really, really nicely, so you are slightly spoiled in that aspect. Again, I thought there was going to be more advantages. Basically, what I just wanted to say is that becoming cabin crew, if it's something you've always wanted to do, then go for it. I always say that to people. I always recommend the job, and if it's not for you, then that's fine, you've done it, it's out of your system, and then you can move on to something else that is more you. I would always say that if you do get the chance with a long haul airline, then do give it more than 6 months. That is just the biggest advice I can give you, because you're still getting into the job, you're still learning about the role. Being away from home can be very difficult, and getting used to all the time zones, you know, you're getting used to the tiredness, getting used to working long hours, a lot of change. So just give it more than 6 months is my advice. Hopefully I've got my point across that being crew is difficult, it's tiring, it's hard work. Don't let anyone ever tell you that you just serve tea and coffee or chicken and beef, because you really don't. You will have bad times, but with that, you know, it is an amazing job. I love it. I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't. I couldn't see myself doing anything else now. It has so much to offer. So like I said, if it's something you really want to do, give it a go. It'll get it out your system if it's not for you. If it is for you, it could change your life. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope I gave you a few ideas and a bit of information about the job, and that I just didn't rumble on too long. For the next video, I wanted to do like a Q&A. So what I'm asking is, if you've got any questions about the role, flying, or time down route, or destinations, or anything, if there's any question you've got, obviously relating to being cabin crew, then comment down below, tweet me and message me on Instagram or email me. I'll leave all my links down below, and I'll try and get a good few questions together before I do my next video, and I'll try and answer them all for you. Like I said at the beginning, I've got a few videos already filmed. If they're good enough, I'll put them up, but hopefully the next video will be the Q&A. So get thinking of some questions and get commenting down below. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.